Hi and welcome to this video where I'm starting a series about the Semantic Kernel and LangChain. And we will explore these two libraries from the basic to a slightly more complicated scenario. To make the video interesting, I want to show you a practice scenario where I want to start from an MP4 video file, and from this file I want to extract the audio, transcript, and have a summarization of the content of the video so I can put on my YouTube channel for a description of the video. And I want to use artificial intelligence. I want to use OpenAI Whisper and GPT-4 because it is a model really advanced and is really good for taking a timeline and having it to compress to a summarized timeline. So that's my goal, and we will explore why I'm going to use Semantic Kernel or LangChain to accomplish this task. The whole example is contained in my GitHub repository, linked down below in the description of the video, and it's simple a solution with various experiments. And everything is done with a Jupyter notebook in Python, so it is really easy to follow and to replicate. In the folder 01 basic, we have a subfolder called plugin where we are going to write the plugin that Semantic Kernel can use, because the whole purpose of this video is showing how you can create your function and let Semantic Kernel use your function to accomplish a goal. The basic format of a Python plugin is simply create a class and then inside the class write some method with a special attribute that allows Semantic Kernel to understand what your function is doing. And in this first method that is called extract audio, I will simply create some Python code to take an MP4 file as input and output name of the file where the routine will extract the WAV file containing the audio part of the video. The sk function method attribute is really important. It's part of the Semantic Kernel library, and it allows Semantic Kernel to understand what your method is doing. We will see how this can be used by Semantic Kernel. For now, just remember that you need to give a name and a description, and both of them are simply made in natural language. And you should be as precise as possible for these two parameters, name and description. Name is a simple name without space that identifies the plugin, and the description is the important part where you are telling Semantic Kernel what your method can do. And for now, we are creating method with the very basic form of parameter. They will only accept a string parameter that will be passed by the chain of code, and we will see how this works. So for now, the simple plugin can accept only a single string parameter. I'm not going into the detail on explaining how this plugin works. They are very simple. The extract audio plugin is using ffmpeg directly from a call to a routine by the OS module, and to transcript audio. So I'm starting from an audio file and I want to end with the complete timeline of the transcription. I will use OpenAI Whisper, and this is the code. It's really simple. I simply install the OpenAI Whisper, then I load the model. In this situation, I'm loading the medium.en model. I go with various options, and then I simply call the transcribe method that it's taking my audio file. It will pass to the model and will extract all the transcription. The real interesting part happened in the video timeline creator plugin, because this is another type of plugin. As you can see in the folder, there are only two files, a config.json and an skprompt.txt. So this kind of plugin is special because it allows you to define a prompt that Semantic Kernel would use to interact with a large language model. So in this situation, I have prepared a nice prompt that I will pass to GPT-4 to take the full transcription of the video and ask him to create a summarized version. And I simply create in the skprompt.txt file the simple prompt I will pass to the large language model, and I've put a placeholder with a special syntax with curly braces where semantic kernel is going to send the input. And in config.json, you will add information that are used by semantic kernel to understand which kind of plugin it is. So as you saw in the previous part where I'm using the SK specific attribute for the method in a Python file, in this situation, I'm going to explain to semantic kernel what this prompt is doing. I can set up various parameters like temperature, maximum token, so I can configure the way that semantic kernel will call the API to GPT. And as usual, I'm including all the parameters that are needed to create the prompt. In this situation, I have only one parameter, and this parameter is the timeline I've extracted from OpenAI Whisper. So basically, when we work with semantic kernel, we usually start with a series of our skills that can be created in Python, or they can be a simple prompt as you saw in the previous part of the video. And this is very powerful because the semantic kernel library allows you to orchestrate these skills and leaving you only the need to write this small chunk of operation that you need to perform a task. So in this situation, I have two native functions and one prompt. And now I show you how simple it is to use this in a sequential way. To run the example, you need at least one API key of OpenAI. Usually you can put these values in a file called .env, and this file should be located outside your repository in parent folder, so you don't accidentally commit the .env file in your repository and leaking the key. In my example, you have two lines. The first one is the OpenAI key, and the second one is the address of my deployment, because actually I'm using Microsoft OpenAI API exposed in Azure. So I need to give the endpoint of my specific deployment. If you use directly the OpenAI API and not the Azure one, you can omit the second line, and you can use only the first line that contains the OpenAI key used to call your the OpenAI on your behalf. In the 01 basic example, you have the 03 chain skin call, that is the Jupyter notebook that contains the complete example. As you can see, the first part of the notebook is loading the .m file I've told you before. So we have loaded in the environment variable for this session the OpenAI key and the base address in case you're using Azure OpenAI. Then you proceed to create a kernel instance, where the kernel instance is the one you use to interact with semantic kernel. For this first example, I've simply created a kernel instance with a null logger, and then you can verify that you're needed only to specify the model you want to use. In this situation, it's GPT 3.5. And then you specify using the OS getenv both the OpenAI key and the Azure endpoint of your deployment. If you are using directly the OpenAI API and not using the Azure one, you need to change slightly this creation. You can look in the documentation, because you are not using the Azure chat complexion. You will use the OpenAI chat complexion, but basically it's the very same. Okay, now it's time to importing our plugin. As you can see, I simply use an import statement to import my custom file, and then I use the kernel import skill method that allows for semantic kernel to import skill from another class. And as you can see, it's one instruction call to let semantic kernel know that you have a custom skill. And then I print the extract audio plugin just to show you that it is an internal class of semantic kernel, nothing complex. And this certifies me that semantic kernel indeed import a new skill called extract audio that is capable of extracting audio from my MP4 file. And to verify that everything is working, you can simply take your kernel object, you can call run async, giving the list of the plugin you want to run and the input. So in this situation, I'm simply going to call the extract audio plugin, with a name of an MP4 file and verify that everything is going to work. And indeed, it called my custom skill extracting audio file from video c/temp/ssa.mp4, and the output of this call is the name of the extracted audio file. So everything is working. Now it's time to create a chain. In the full example where I'm going to use all three plugins, I also change a little bit the example using a real logger, because using a real logger allows you to better understand what is going on, because Semantic Kernel is gonna to dump some information into the logger so you can see what's happening internally. The importing routine is also slightly different, because to import the semantic skill, all the skill like summarize that are not Python code but are created with a simple prompt are important, giving the name of the folder where the plugin is located. In this case is /plugin, and then you use another method of the kernel that is import semantic skill from directory, where you are going to ask Semantic Kernel to scan the directory and import the plugins. In this specific situation, I'm asking Semantic Kernel to import all the plugin from the base plugins directory and the publishing plugin subdirectory, where I've set up my skill that is capable of summarizing the full timeline in a shorter format. In the output, since I've inserted a logger, it's now more verbose and it's telling me what happened behind the scene. In the first line, it tells me that import the skill audio video plugin, and from this class, it can find two methods imported. And then from the publishing plugin for the semantic skill, Semantic Kernel was able to import the semantic skill, and it gives you the whole prompt, the template prompt I showed you before, showing you that it indeed imported a semantic skill. If you print the various plugins, you can indeed look at the result, and all of this plugin, both the Python one and the classic semantic skill, are in memory encapsulated in a class that is called sk function. And this simple instruction allows me to verify that indeed the load plugin section of the semantic kernel loaded all the three parts of my example correctly. If one of these instructions return null, it can happen that something is wrong, you misspelled the name of the directory or something similar, and the semantic skill function were not correctly imported. Now we start to use semantic kernel in a more interesting way. In this situation, I have a simple workflow where each part of the plugin is producing the output for the next part of the plugin. So I can chain together, creating a linear chain of first, use the extract audio plugin to extract audio from my video file. Second, you will need to use the transcript timeline just to have this transcription with OpenAI Whisper. And finally, the transcription of OpenAI Whisper will be passed to the last part of the plugin, the semantic skill that is going to summarize all the transcript of my video. And as you can see in the output, Semantic Kernel is going to call my function. So the first skill is called and the audio is extracted, and then you start to using CUDA to run Whisper, showing me that it's indeed using the OpenAI Whisper to extract the timeline from my audio. If you look at the full output, you can verify that indeed at the last step, the extracted complete transcript of my video was passed to the real prompt function I've specified before. So everything is working as expected. And in the last step, the result show what I'm expected. So I have a list of interesting section of my video with the point in the timeline when the section starts and a title that identifies the section of the video. And this allows me to show you how versatile Semantic Kernel is, because with a very few line of code, I was able to create separate part, separate section of my problem, separate skill, small piece of code capable of doing one and only one thing perfectly. And I can simply create a chain to call sequentially with a bunch of line of code and letting semantic kernel do the rest. And this concludes our first sample where I show you how you can use semantic kernel for to obtain a sequential skill call. So basically you can create skill. Skill is an atomic piece of code or a prompt that works and execute only one thing. Okay. Now you can create skill in Python. You can create skill as a call to a large language model. So you can create a prompt that will be passed to a large language model to obtain response. As an example, I use GPT-4 for obtaining a summarization. A spoiler, I will show you that everything works also in C#. So it's higher level language, compiled, where you can have more control on your code, and you can create skill in C#, absolutely. And semantic kernel then allows you to create a kernel object and import the skill in a very simple way. As you can see, just scan a directory for a semantic plugin, or take this Python class and import all the methods that are decorated with a specific attribute. Really, really simple. And in this first example, I show you that when you have a sequence of skill, you can simply ask kernel to execute a chain of skill where the output of one skill is the input of the other, and it goes down sequentially one after another to execute a list of operations and obtaining a goal. And this completes this first video of introduction to semantic kernel. And I'm waiting you for the next video on the series where I'm going to dip a little bit down on what you can do with semantic kernel in a little bit more interesting way. Bye-bye.